simple answer to that. No doctor, no person, no one can tell you, oh, you'll be healed in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. And you don't know what to expect. This year was the most challenging, the most difficult. I got these terrible injuries, the house, the fires, so many things that are trying to knock me off my feet. It's either going to make you or break you.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to another episode of King's World. All right. So, every week I like to do something a little bit different, and we go over subject matters that most of these internet shows or people that don't talk about. I love to bring you guys the stories and all the stuff that I went through during my crazy IFBB days. But to be honest with you, this week, it's about questions. You guys are really coming through, and I'm loving this right now because all of you and a lot of you are just hammering me with questions. And I was going down one by one, and I was like, holy, I can't just sit back and just do 3 a week because I'm going to get so far behind. So what I did is I picked out some of the best ones. Some of them are pretty stupid. Some of you guys are real dumb. I mean, come on. Don't ask the dumb questions. Be asked the legitimate questions, okay? Or because the dumb ones I'm not going to answer. So this show this week is going to be called All Questions from the Fans and the Freaks. So here we go. 10 questions answered by the King. Question number 1 comes from Shiva. King, how do I achieve paper-thin skin throughout my body? I can't seem to achieve it in my lower back and glutes. Okay, Shiva. There's no magic pill. There's no secret. You have to diet and you have to do your cardio. A lot of the paper-thin skinness, I know what you're talking about. A lot of people always say, well, how do I get more veins? Well, veins are genetic. Okay, vascularity is genetic. If you want that paper-thin skin, you just have to suffer. See, what you guys have to understand is that there's next-level suffering. You think you're suffering. A lot of people that come to me, they've competed before and they've done well, but they haven't achieved that look, and they're very confused. Like, King, I don't understand how you guys at the pro level achieve that crazy. Well, that's because we take it to crazy levels, okay? Stop thinking about drugs. I know that's exactly what you're thinking about right now. You're saying to yourself, oh, King, it's the drugs. Stop with that, okay? We're putting the drugs aside right now. We're talking about dieting and cardio. It's next level suffering. That's what it comes down to. Let me say it one more time. Next level suffering. You have to take yourself to the point where you literally, I give this example a lot to a lot of people. The last 2 weeks before my shows, I would do my cardio with my eyes closed because I noticed if I kept my eyes open, my eyes kept rolling back, so I kept closing my eyes. My training partners would be freaking out. I remember Gabe used to look at me and punch me once in a while and say, you all right, man? I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. That's next level suffering. Now, there is a little old school trick that we used to, but you have to be able to get your hands on this. It's called thiomucase. If you can get your hands on real, not that crap that you see on these message boards and all these little places where you can get, oh, this is thiamine. No, the real thiomucase comes from France. If you could get yourself this cream, use that with the combination of DMSO. You have to mix the DMSO correctly. I'm not going to get into that, but it's the combination of DMSO and thiomucase on the specific targeted areas, lower back, glutes, and that will thin your skin out a little bit. Thin skin, suffer. You got to suffer. Question 2 comes from Nick Ward. How often should someone work out abs? Great question. I'm hearing every other day to only sometimes a week before a show. Can you please shed some light on this? Okay, so Nick, abs. It comes down to the word that a lot of you guys hate hearing from me, but I'm going to say it again, genetics. If you got them, you got them. Listen, haven't you guys seen some of these athletes or basketball players or soccer players? Look at Ronaldo. He has the six-pack. You're never going to see Messi with a six-pack. It's just not going to happen. But some people have it. So you have to work with your genetics. And personally, I can only talk about my own personal experience. I did not need to work abs. I worked abs maybe starting at 6 weeks out, maybe once, maximum twice, but it wasn't even really abs. It was just squeezing, maybe a couple of reps here and there, but posing mostly in the mirror. So you have to go with what God gave you, what your parents gave you, use your genetics, and squeeze. That is the key to abs. It's the squeezing and the squeezing exercises. It's much better to get that mind-muscle connection than to kill yourself and build a blocky waist. Squeeze. Question 3 comes from Ant171. King, who had the most positive influence in your bodybuilding career? This is simple. Nasser El Sambati. Nasser, rest in peace. He was my idol. I looked at him as the greatest thing, and he was a god to me. And for him to take me under his wing and show me the ropes and teach me the business of ins and outs of bodybuilding and what it meant to be a professional. It didn't necessarily mean you had to win, but win the crowd. That's what he always told me. He said, win the crowd. Make sure you win the crowd. If you win the crowd, you become very, very popular and rich. That's how you do it. That's my impression of Nasser. So Nasser El Sambati, he was the best. He showed me everything. And I remember when we went to Hawaii to guest post together, we sat down and we talked. On the beach, we talked, and in the restaurants, we talked, and he loved coffee. Oh my God, did he love his coffee. So when we sat down, he drank his coffee, and I would ask him questions, and, I really picked his brain. And he was a very special person. And I miss him a lot, and again, the original beast from the Middle East, Nasser El Sambati. Question number 4 comes from Alex Cruz. Alex asks, what's better for hardening up, Tren or Masteron? Oh, here we go. All right, so I picked this one because I knew a lot of people would want to hear this. A lot of you knuckleheads like to hear stuff like this. So, Tren, Masteron, which direction do you want to go? You know me, I'm going to tell you the truth, but I'm going to tell you from my own personal experience. If I go from my own personal experience, I can't stand Tren. Tren gives me an awful feeling. It gives me a certain... Yes, it's a hard look, but it's almost like a stringy hard look. I don't like it. It's the feeling it gives me. And of course, the dreaded, the worst, I don't know if you've experienced it, and I hope you never experienced it, called the Tren cough. Folks, you literally feel like you're going to cough up your entire organs out of your mouth. Now imagine that for 30 minutes straight. It is the worst. I've had girlfriends watch me do it and cry. Oh, you're going to die. Look at you. Just shut the 30 minutes of that. No, thank you. Tren, you can suck my Persian, you know what. Get out of my face. Masteron, a lot cleaner, a lot better, smoother. Nice. It gives you a nice hard, round look. Plus, it gives you the veins and all that stuff. It gives you that hardness look without the feeling of that stupid Tren. Personally, me, Masteron. Okay, question number 5 comes from Andy Windsor. Andy, he says, who is the best bodybuilder that never went pro? Another great question. Okay, I got to mention 4 people here. These guys should have gone pro. These guys even in today's standards, would have been very competitive. Number 1 on my list would be Matt Mendenhall, the great white hope. I mean, this guy was amazing. He had the size, the looks, the total package, just couldn't pull it together. You ask me why? Because he ran up against Ronnie Coleman, Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, Kevin Levrone. He just came at a time where the super freak Hall of Famers were competing against him. It was just bad timing, absolute bad timing. Edgar Fletcher, another guy, absolutely amazing. One of the best vacuum front double bicep poses, huge, super heavyweight. Just couldn't get his conditioning. And I remember he was so good, and this is a true story, that our president, Jim Mannion, actually brought him to Pittsburgh and made him stay with him so he can keep an eye on him so he wouldn't cheat on his diet. And he still got outside and went to a fast food place and cheated on his diet. Edgar Fletcher, if he had just nailed his conditioning, amazing. Okay, next gentleman. This next gentleman, they gave him a pro card. He went back to Nigeria and they let him win the Nigerian national championship to just hand him a pro card. It was an absolute joke. If you guys can go and Google the Nigerian championships when Victor Richards is his name. When Victor Richards competed, you will laugh because everybody else was like skinny Africans against this Mongolian, huge, giant freak of a man. It was just a joke. But Victor Richards, if he wanted to compete at the Nationals, the USA's, he would have easily won. Just an absolute freak of nature. The only man who could stand next to Dorian Yates at his prime and match him pound for pound in mass. Victor Richards. And Gerard Dente. Yes, the Gerard Dente of MHP. Gerard, good look at total package. Another Matt Mendenhall. Good looking guy. Symmetry, size, the whole package. Again, he ran into a certain time with certain people. Just couldn't get over that hump. Those are my top guys that should have gone pro. Question number 6 from Kyle the Beast. Kyle says, do you have to squat to get big legs? Okay, great question. Do you have to squat? Half of me says yes, half of me says no. The half of me that says yes is coming from the first half of my career. The beginning to the middle. Yes, you need to squat. Something you guys need to understand, squat's not just for the legs. Squat builds the entire body. When you go heavy and deep, and you go to those points where you throw up and you're training, everybody's seen those videos, Tom Platz, all those things. Yes, you have to do it, but you get to a certain point where you don't need to squat anymore. Dexter Jackson, Jay Cutler, the list goes on and on and on. You don't need to do it. Again, and I use this example, and I know it's a little, it's a little weird example. I'm going to use it anyway. Ronnie Coleman. And this is the biggest if of all time, if Ronnie would have stopped at a certain point and stopped training the way he was training and moved into a different style of training, like Dexter Jackson, stopped training heavy, went and started to learn a new way to train his body from Charles Glass. If Ronnie Coleman would have done that, I think he would have won the Mr. Olympia 15 times in a row. I really honestly do. Yeah, so yes, you need to squat. Later on, when you've built the master size, no, you can use the machines and you can use the mind-muscle connection and go forward. There's your answer. Question number 7 comes from the real Sammy. He asks, how does one stay relatively lean in the off-season without feeling like you're on a diet? I get that a lot. A lot of people say to me, hey, do I have to stay and do I have to eat the same chicken and broccoli and a fish and this and all year long? I don't want to live like that. No, you don't. In the off season, this is the formula that I tell all my clients and I use myself. Okay, 2 days on, 1 day off. For 2 days, for example, Monday and Tuesday, you follow a relatively strict diet. Low carbs, low fat, clean, clean, clean. On the 3rd day, for your first and your last meal, cheat. Have whatever you want. Pancakes, bacon, omelets for dinner, pizza, Mexican, Chinese, whatever the hell you want. You follow this. So Monday and Tuesday, strict. Wednesday, cheat for meal 1 and meal 6. Thursday and Friday, strict. Saturday, you cheat and cheat again. Sunday, you do evals. If you got a coach, you're good enough with yourself to realize and be honest with yourself, you do it like that. That way, you stay relatively lean and you still stay sane because you're eating your good and yummy foods on Wednesday and Saturday. Off season, stay lean. Question number 8 comes from Milad One Goal. Who are your top 3 favorite athletes? It could be from any sport, not just bodybuilding. Okay, I'm glad you asked this. Give a little bit of who. I don't want to talk about bodybuilding all the time. I know this is a bodybuilding show, but we can, swerve a little bit left and right. Especially if I'm gonna start that podcast. I'm really thinking about that now. By the way, really thinking about that. All right. Instead of 3, I'm going to say 4. Okay, my top 4 greatest influencers as far as athletes go. Number 1, Michael Jordan. I was watching those. Right now, I can't even stand watching the NBA. It's just a different sport. Back then, it was a totally different game. It was so much more physical, and Michael, the best ever. Marvin Hagler, my favorite boxer of all time. An absolute beast. Just everything about him, smart, elusive, power, everything. Marvin Hagler. Walter Payton, my favorite football player of all time. Sweetness, nothing. Just the fact that he would punish you. He used to come and say, "You gonna tackle me? I'm gonna punish you if you can try to tackle me." Love that attitude. And of course, number 1 on my list, Bruce Lee. Come on, folks. Day one to now, forever, never, no one, I don't care where, when, how, Bruce Lee will always be number one. He is a god. Those are my favorite athletes. Question number 9 comes from Big Ben. Big Ben says, King, what's wrong with Hakeem Williams? How come he can't win a show? Okay. First of all, I think Hakeem has won a show. Yeah, so that's wrong right there. What's wrong with Hakeem? There's nothing wrong with Hakeem. Hakeem has, he's got the size, he's got the shape, he's got the tiny waist. He has a unique look to his body. The closest person that I know that has a body like Hakeem was Orville Burke. Orville Burke was the same exact, actually had that dark black skin. He had the same look, he had the same mass, muscles just hanging off of him. Hakeem just needs to get that conditioning. And people have given up on him. They're like, no, you can't get Hakeem this. I think Hakeem, he needs to get to that point where he finds his formula. Once he finds that formula of suffering, okay, his formula for genetics is all there. He needs to find his suffering formula to get that next level, and that will come. He'll get it. It's going to snap one day, and then he's going to get it, and he's going to understand what that feeling is. When that day comes, Hakeem will be very dangerous, and he will be in the top 6 in the Olympia. Question 10, last question, comes from Ken Jackson. He asks, King, can Flex Lewis crack the top 5 in the Open Olympia? Well, yes. I don't know how else to say it. Absolutely he can. His weight restriction is gone. He doesn't have to lose muscle as he goes into the show. He can push the limits of fullness, which we haven't seen. I want to see it. I want to see what Flex Lewis looks like when he doesn't have to make fucking weight, if he pushes the level of fullness. Now, pushing the level of fullness, I hope he's smart enough that if that day comes that he's going to step into the open class, he doesn't push the insulin to those maximum limits and get that spongy look that we all have been talking about. We don't want that spongy look, Flex. We want that hard, full look, okay? Nasser El Sambati, Kevin Levrone, those that have that 1990s, early 2000s fullness but hard look, you'll be extremely dangerous. Can he crack the top 5? Absolutely. And actually, I'm one of the ones who wants to see it. So, Flex, bring it, baby. Let's see what you got. Okay, so another episode of King's World. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A lot more coming. Please send your questions, your comments, YouTube. You got that. And another thing, this is for you people who love me and for you haters out there. You guys are all questioning about what I look like and what my training is, this and that. Go follow me on Instagram. So simple. Follow me on Instagram. I show what I eat, my training routines, how I torture my training partners. Today I put a picture of poor Cam as he was passed out on the floor after legs. These are the things. Follow me on Instagram so you don't have to keep saying all these things. It's all there. You got it? All right. So, love you guys. Peace. And as always, you know what I'm going to say? Peace. Bitches.